It is impossible not to love the John Wick movies. There are so many amazing action scenes, outstanding fight choreography, fascinating characters, some really surprising deep lore and world building, and of course, one breathtaking Keanu Reeves.
You're breathtaking!
And now it seems like the world will be expanded upon with the Ballerina spin-off movie. The story will follow a deadly female assassin who is on her own revenge story as she will go after the people who massacred her family. And we could actually see her clash with John Wick in Chapter 4. The Ballerina will have reasons to go after John Wick, who might have had something to do with the death of her family. While the whole world is waiting for Chapter 4, there are already plans to expand the franchise with some spin-offs. The first is a prequel show called The Continental, which will take place before the events of the movies and will focus on the safe haven hotel for hitmen and assassins. But there are also active plans for a spin-off movie titled Ballerina. Not much is known about the film, but according to reports, the movie will follow a young woman who is trained as an assassin. This ballerina will seek revenge against the hitmen who killed her family. I wonder, is there at least one assassin in the John Wick world that wants something else other than revenge? Since there is so little information about the spin-off, I'm gonna make some pretty wild predictions about who this ballerina might be and the role that she could play in the franchise. Okay, so based on the title of the movie, it's pretty obvious that there's a connection with the ballerinas we saw in Chapter 3, meaning that it's likely that this ballerina was trained by the same people who made John Wick into the deadliest hitman in the world. After all, how many secret organizations with deadly ballerinas can you have? Wait, Russian assassins? Secret organizations? Ballerinas? Is Black Widow part of the John Wick world?
Oh, no, that's not a question I need answered.
Before his retirement, John Wick made a name for himself as the best hitman in the game. He was the Baba Yaga, a type of hitman that could kill you with a spoon. At some point, John started working for Vigo Tarasov, the head of a powerful Russian mob. However, after meeting and falling in love with Helen, John decided to retire from the hitman life. And everything was fantastic after that. The two lovebirds got married and lived happily ever after. They even got a couple of cute dogs and never had to worry about anything again. The end. Yeah, well, not really. You all know the rest. But it's very possible that the ballerina's story started with John's retirement. In her spin-off movie, the ballerina will go after the people who killed her family. Well, here's a Shyamalan-level twist. What if John Wick is one of those hitmen? In order to step away from the world of assassins, John had to do an impossible task for Vigo Tarasov. He killed all of his enemies in one night. We don't exactly know how it all went down, but apparently this mission was pretty impossible since John had to get some extra help from Santino D'Antonio, something that resulted in a blood oath. And we all know how that stuff turned out. And here's the twist. What if Tarasov's enemies included the Ballerina family, a family that John Wick ended up killing? Just imagine the shock when we find out that John is responsible for the death of the young assassin's family. Since the first movie, John has always been on a quest for vengeance, and for the most part, he was always justified in his actions, although he did get a bit too extreme at times. However, things can really get interesting if John will be on the receiving end of vengeance. John wiped out the entire Tarasov mob for killing his dog. So shouldn't the ballerina get to take him out for killing her family? While it's hard to imagine John Wick doing something as despicable as killing an entire family, he is a deadly hitman.
I'll kill them. I'll kill them all.
Now, I'm sure that John has rules and codes, but it's possible that he went to the extreme to gain freedom from the life of the hitman world and find peace with Helen. But John isn't some cruel psycho, so I'm sure he spared the innocent family members, which could explain how the ballerina survived the massacre. While I think the reveal that John Wick killed the ballerina's family will be amazing, John is still the main hero of the franchise. So maybe this direction won't work that well for everyone. It's more likely that John was actually framed for it all. We know that Santino D'Antonio was a guy who would kill his own sister to get what he wanted. What if the Ballerina's family stood in his way, and while John took out Tarasov's enemies, Santino used the opportunity to kill some of his own enemies? Make it all look like John Wick's handiwork. And of course, the best reveal will be that the High Table knew all about this and even sanctioned the assassination of the Ballerina's family for their own reasons. If that's the case, then the Ballerina will have reasons to go after the High Table, which means that she can team up with John. Regardless if John Wick actually killed the Ballerina's family or was framed for it, this direction will escalate things in Chapter 4. John usually goes around killing anyone who dares to stand in his way or threatens his life, but what will he do when he clashes with the Ballerina? John Wick isn't the forgiving type, and it's very rare that his fights don't end with his opponents getting killed. If John did do it, could he actually fight and kill the Ballerina, who has good reasons to go after him? You have to assume that he'll feel guilty for killing the Ballerina's family. After all, a vengeful guy like him must understand the obsession and power of revenge. If John was framed, he will have to protect himself against the Ballerina, and so when they fight, John will try to convince her of the truth and that she's been used by the High Table. And this is a fascinating moral clash that could make Chapter 4 so much deeper. Imagine this: what if the Ballerina demanded vengeance for her family, but due to the strict rules of the High Table, she couldn't just go after John and Viggo Tarasov? Firstly, Tarasov had become one of the most powerful mobsters in New York after all of his enemies were wiped out, and the Ballerina probably couldn't just go after Viggo due to all of the rules of the Assassin's world. Maybe that's the same reason she couldn't simply kill John Wick. I'm pretty sure you can't go after a retired hitman. I kinda hope that Lionsgate will publish the High Table's rulebook. That would be brilliant. I just wonder how many rules the hitmen must follow. Also, is there like some written test all the hitmen must take before getting their membership and license to kill? I wonder what the punishment is for failing the test. The big question is, what happened after the massacre of the Ballerina family? Maybe at that point in the timeline, she was already part of the Ruska Roma, so by the time her family was killed, she had the skills to kick a lot of butt. Or maybe her training came from her family, but after the massacre, she sought some real training from the Ruska Roma to be able to go after the people who killed her family. Either way, the Ballerina had to answer to the director, and it's possible that her vengeance was denied. Maybe the director had a soft spot for John, or simply didn't want to break the rules. And this must have caused a rift between the Ballerina and her master and the rest of the Ruska Roma. Maybe after all of this, the Ballerina offered her services to the High Table, possibly to the Elder himself. Serving the table might have allowed her to be above the rules and go after John. Or maybe the High Table decided to recruit her themselves and use her need for vengeance for their personal gain. A promise that she will get her chance to kill John, but first she must prove her worth and serve as their personal assassin. And maybe that's what the Elder hoped would happen all along. That he will gain a loyal assassin, someone who's as skilled as John Wick, but also will serve him in exchange for revenge. Also, anyone who's worthy to be the personal assassin and guardian of the High Table must be very skilled. So this will raise the stakes for the fight between John and the Ballerina. After Chapter 3, we know that the world of John Wick is about to enter an all-out war. There is serious friction between the High Table and other factions, and it's clear that they're all about to clash. And John Wick has a personal vendetta with the High Table, and he's likely going to try and kill them all. Not to mention Winston, who may or may not have been playing his own cunning game, something we explored in a previous video. If John goes after the High Table, he's likely going to clash with the Ballerina. A fight between the two won't just be epic, it's probably going to be the most intense battle in the franchise. Two master assassins who are extremely deadly and skilled, each one of them vindicated in their vengeance. Maybe John will be able to convince the Ballerina that revenge will only lead to endless misery and violence. John's path for vengeance didn't bring him any happiness or peace, and it only created more need for revenge. You know the saying, if you seek revenge, you should dig 2 graves. Well, in John Wick's case, it's probably like 1,000 or so extra graves. But maybe John's own experience with an endless cycle of revenge and death will be the key for saving the Ballerina from the same life. A type of redemption for the boogeyman. And if the High Table did kill her family, I'm sure the Ballerina will be very happy to team up with John and take them all out. Who knows, maybe some members of the High Table will survive Chapter 4 and the Ballerina will hunt them down in her own movie. Regardless of how it will all go down, Chapter 4 could be the perfect movie to set up the Ballerina as the next main character of the franchise. Of course, I hope we get more John Wick movies beyond the 4th movie, but putting the focus on the Ballerina will create a lot of investment in her character in her future stories. I guess time will tell who the Ballerina will be and if she will actually appear in John Wick Chapter 4. So what do you think about all this? Who do you think they'll cast as the Ballerina? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you hit that like button and make sure to subscribe to CBR for more cool videos. See you next time, and thanks for watching.